Neighbors, viewers, one and all, welcome back to our channel. Today we are continuing our age gap relationship discussion series. Very important topic, babe.
Okay.
Deal or no deal. Things to consider before you commit to an age gap relationship. But just some housekeeping. Remember, if you are visiting this channel for the first time, do subscribe, like this video. If you know somebody who is in an age gap relationship, who is contemplating an age gap relationship, do share this video with them. Thank you so much.
How the words go? What's love?
Can you just go?
What's love got to do with it? You know, I just love you. I just love you like rice and peas and chicken. And you know, your heart just bubble every time you see her. And you just feel like enough. But then, yo, listen to me, there are some serious things to consider, you know. When you come into any relationship, first of all.
Yeah.
But apart from that, there are certain things unique to age gap relationships that we have to consider, and that I think you should as well.
Yes.
Right.
So we've always heard it said in comments, at least we have, that, you know, you guys don't worry. You know, what's important is that you love each other. Love is all that matters. Is that true?
You ever hear somebody say, love can't go shop?
Love can't full belly. That's all like something that old people would have said, you know?
Yeah, so yeah.
I mean, we have it immortalized in song.
Right.
What's love got to do with it?
Love is important.
What's love but a second-hand emotion?
Oh.
He was asking me what the words are.
When people ask, you know, as long as they love each other, it's probably about more of the serious kind of love in terms of
what's the serious kind of love?
Not just the emotion. And you know, you have a feeling, and you know, I feel this way. But beyond the feeling, you have to have a decision to constantly respect and put the person first. So regardless of what we may discuss right now, you will need to love, especially if it is that one of these things that we're going to be discussing is a factor or remains a factor or comes up, you know, in a relationship.
Yes, indeed. So there is a distinction to be made between that nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that you get, you know, the boom to the boom to the boom, when you see the person who you're attracted to, versus the choice that you make to honor and respect. There are some very important things to consider, and that will make the difference between a successful relationship or that relationship failing.
Right. Let's get straight into it.
Yeah. So today we're going to cover 5 things that you should consider before committing yourself to a relationship with somebody who is older than you or younger than you are. So the first thing is this big one, how it looks or how it's going to look. The next thing is the whole issue of children.
That's a big one.
Children, big one. Children and fertility. Also, disapproving family members.
Why were you doing this?
I don't know. Disapproving family members. Her money, his ego. Also, finally, being at different stages in life. Not just ages, but stages.
So we're going to jump into the first one after this commercial break. So welcome back.
It's just an ad, guys. Please watch it.
Welcome back. So the first thing we're going to deal with is just how it looks, the optics.
Yeah.
And the name of this section is to have or too old. Right?
To have or too old?
Too old.
Yeah.
So we explored yesterday just how big an age difference is, an age gap. When does it move from an age difference, 1 or 2 years, to an age gap to becoming a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because chances are most people have a little difference in the ages between themselves and their partner.
Right.
But it must be clear that if you're thinking about this, you need to understand that people will look on you and your partner and make assumptions. So,
Yes.
for example, we have stories where we have been together out.
Yes.
And people have been so
presumptuous, bright and presumptuous to say that I am this here young man's mother.
They've asked. They said, "Are you? Oh, you and your son? Let them do."
Or they have just outright assumed
Right.
that he is my son, and I've just proceeded along that road.
Right.
It doesn't help that Paul does not look his age. He actually looks younger than his age. So if that is the case with your partner, you are likely to come up against this very, very obvious distinction or difference between the way you look and the way your partner looks.
And it can be something that is very uncomfortable, especially when done in public.
Yes.
For you to, shake yourself out of after it happens. So for example, me, I have never had facial hair, and that's just my genetics. I just have a youthful looking face. So people will mistake me for being somebody who is in sixth form or just fresh in college.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality.
And you've been advised to grow your beard so that you can look older to kind of mitigate.
Right.
And not only has Paul been advised to grow his beard so that he can look more mature in age, I have also been advised to lose weight so that I can look younger.
Right. And that is on the one hand, but on the other hand, when the man is older, you're going to get questions like, "Oh, is your daughter this?"
Mm-hmm.
Especially if it's a wide. And there are men who go after young ladies. When I say young ladies, I mean people who are not yet adults, which is just wrong.
Yeah.
Again, we're not talking about any R. Kelly or any kind of thing like that. But let's say a man who is 15 years older than his partner, it will look funny. That's just how it is.
It will look
funny.
Odd,
right?
It will look weird to some people.
Right.
And you have to deal with that. You will have to decide if that is something that you can deal with, that you want to deal with. Because as you get older, one of two things can happen. Is either it is going to become less pronounced as the younger partner ages, or it is going to become more pronounced as the older partner ages, right? And so it will appear that the two of you are clearly different in age.
For me, though, the whole matter of extrapolating, when I'm this age, she'll be this age, and therefore we may do this. Personally, I've grown to get over that because there's just so much uncertainty. God can come tomorrow. And there's just so many things that can happen. And that is just out of our control. Don't worry about those stuff. If it is that is something you can get past mentally, right?
Yeah, but I think at the root of it is a fear of judgment. People are afraid that how other people perceive them, view them, and that they're being judged based on the fact that they're standing next to their partner and they look old or too young, as the case may be. And to that, is something that it's top of mind for some people, and you have to either push past it, decide that you're going to deal with it, because there are things that matter more. I know this is something that I've struggled with, and I know that there are other women who must struggle with this also, and perhaps their partners, the younger men in their lives, who might think, "Oh, but she's gonna get gray before I do." I don't color my hair. I never color my hair, and the gray hairs are sprinkled all over it. And from time to time, I do get a little self-conscious about my grays, and I will ask Paul, do you think I should color my hair because I, And what do you say? What do you say to that?
Well, I'm gonna say if you want to, do whatever you want to do. What I've learned, and what we've learned in the last couple of years in particular, I mean, I can tell you right now, there are people who, yes, we had a small wedding, but there are people who, even at that time, I was fearful of how they, the people who aren't in an inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even want to have a big wedding to invite people because they would have been like, what wait, something look kind of off with this picture right here. But what I've learned is your confidence together will influence how people respond to you. So
yes,
if you are already defeating yourself in your thoughts and in how your mannerisms, you kind of being timid in public and all that.
If your self-esteem is suffering because you are thinking and assuming that your partner doesn't find you as attractive as a younger person, or that other people looking at you might think that you are an oddity, you're weird, you're a freak of nature, an abomination.
That's a good argument.
You're a big cat and he's a little cub.
Oh, it's all out just now. That was not scripted, guys.
And it will probably not make the edit. Regardless of how you look together, can I just say, we will all age. Age is going to creep up on us all, no matter how fine she looks today, right? If your partner is a nice 20-something little thing, he or she, everybody's going to age. We won't all stay young forever.
Right, and it reminds you of the passage in Proverbs 31 verse 30, which says that it's talking about charm. It's talking about charm being deceitful and that beauty fades.
Exactly.
But it goes on to say that a woman who fears the Lord will be praised. And no matter how much a man, loves what he's seeing, what he gets in terms of respect and those qualities in a woman, it outweighs what he gets on the outside. So you're not looking for a trophy wife, somebody you can muggle upon, and then we reach home, you're in a problem. You can barely have peace at home because the person is not, you guys are not that because you guys are not in harmony outside of that.
Yeah.
Our practical tip is to start a YouTube channel and just be confident about the age, and people will eventually get over it. Next point.
Our next deal breaker, children.
All right, so this issue is really big, right? So we thought about it and we basically categorize it in 3 different scenarios.
Yeah.
The first one is, and this is not even unique to age gap relationships, one partner wants a child, the next partner doesn't want a child.
Right. One partner, the younger partner, may want to have children, and the older partner may have already had children who are now grown and no longer wants to have any more children. So how do you then move forward? That without coming onto the same page, you're going to run into a problem there. And people feel so strongly about children. It's a biological need. It's also an emotional need, especially for women, that not having children, not being able to have children for some people is enough for them to walk away from a relationship.
For sure, because there are people who feel incomplete almost without having a child. And it is unfortunate when those people are, together, but you just cannot see eye to eye or find common ground in establishing, okay, I just don't want to have a child,
Right.
And Tina is just like, I want to have a child. How do you compromise in a scenario like that?
It is very difficult to compromise, because if the older partner does not want to be burdened with having to raise little children after they've already gone through that, then the alternative is for them to walk away from the relationship or to kind of go along with the relationship and be unhappy.
Right. Right. That would be a hard decision to make. But if it is that you're going to stick it out, someone would likely be left hurting.
Right. So unless you're able to get onto the same page, unless you're able to arrive at that compromise, then it can be a deal breaker.
Right. I would not say go ahead or not, but it's something to definitely stop and think about.
Right.
In our case, we both wanted more children. Well, I never had any children as yet. Biologically, she already had children, but I always loved children. She loved children. It was not a problem or issue that came up with us.
But it takes us to our next point,
right,
our next scenario.
The next point now is something that, okay, you've gotten past the first step. Let's say you convinced the older woman that, yeah, we should have children. And she said, you know what, all right, you're right. I would really love to give you a child. Or she just wanted from the original get-go to have more children, and the younger partner wants more children as well. But especially, and this scenario is especially unique for Christians, where the Christian is advised not to have sex before marriage.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas someone who is not following Christ, they may say, you know what, we can try and see if things will work out.
Right.
If it connect, then we can move on.
Yes.
But it's like a gamble.
In the case of for Christians, you have to be married.
Right. You have to wait.
You have to wait. Even though you have some people who will go out a road and go do them thing, even as Christians.
I mean, after getting married?
Before them get married. Oh. But we don't advise this, you know. It sometimes happens, unfortunately, where you go too far in a courtship and you end up with a pregnancy, but it's not something that we advise. It's definitely not something that sex before marriage, not worth it.
I don't know, because, for example, in our case, let us talk about us.
Mm-hmm.
In our case, I knew I wanted children. I never had any before. Maybe for Tina, who had one daughter before, Hannah, that, you know, if I can't have any more children, at least I already have one.
Right.
Whereas for me, it wasn't even an option where I was entertaining anything like, well, if I don't have a child, then it's okay. That was never a thought that crossed my mind. I was determined to have children. So much so, our story, as you can see in our How We Met videos, we set out to get in action packed. You know what I mean? We when we get married, we kind of just at it. So after the first year, we were saying, you know what? As we're approaching the end of the first year, we're saying, you know what? If this not working out and we're not seeing any progress, any sperm hitting any egg and any bump developing, we need to see somebody who is a specialist.
But what about the person whose fertility window has closed? Because in our case, I was still of childbearing age and I had already had a child. So you wouldn't have questioned my ability to have children. My fertility was, in essence, proven. Mm-hmm. So what advice would you give to a couple like that now, where the young man wants to have children and he is questioning whether his partner has the actual ability to have children?
So it's something you have to confront head on as a couple.
Yeah, it can make the difference between you staying in a relationship and you walking away from it, depending on how important it is for you to be able to have children together. And if you want to take the chance of proceeding together and seeing what happens.
Mm-hmm. On the flip side, there are men who, I mean, worse if you never have a youth yet, and you don't have a resume, you know, a track record of, you know, hitting twins back to back. You understand? So you have a wife who is younger than you are, and people will assume if everything is okay, she can bear children.
Yes, they will assume that the problem is
with
the
man.
older partner.
But she may have her doubts because you are 10, 15 years her senior, and you are in that age where, you know, your performance and all those things come into question.
Yeah, you might need to be joined for the little blue pill or whatever color.
So that is also a very real issue
Yeah.
that people confront, because it will weigh on the mind of the man and the woman in terms of, you know, she desperately wants children, but he is not sure if he can deliver.
Right.
So that's something that you need to, again, just stare it in its face. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it doesn't make any sense being in denial about this issue, you know, people. Issues of children and fertility. This is a huge deal breaker. Not just in age gap relationships.
Right.
Marriages have fallen apart because a couple is unable to have children, and there is a lot of, you know, blame laying.
Right.
So it's something that even before you commit to a relationship, you tackle head on, you discuss it. It's something that you really should try to seek mediation from a trusted source about, if you both can't come to some kind of agreement between yourselves, either to part ways or to go together in marriage and see what the outcome will be.
Right.
Because in some cases, yeah, it might be a gamble and it might be a risk worth taking.
Right.
In our case, who knew that we would end up with 2 sets of twins?
Right.
We were planning
beyond our wildest imagination.
Yeah, we never imagined that. And it's not something we planned, and we conceived naturally. So we didn't conceive with the assistance of medicine. And I am not saying that there's anything wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. But it happened that we were planning to have children, maybe 1 or 2. That was what I was seeing as being possible. 3 maybe, if we really, really pushed it to the edge of my fertile window. But we ended up with two sets of twins. We ended up with 4 children in 3 years.
But what would you say to the couple who is at this crossroads now? Because we got through it with the help of God, and our gamble was paid off.
Right.
But there are people who may have gambled. You may have taken the step, assuming that things would work out, and it didn't.
Right.
You may be unhappy. You may see looking at your partner, you may see your unhappiness in the partner personified.
Yeah.
And there are people who may not be married as yet, but you're thinking about it, and you're looking at the crossroads and wondering if you need to be going on the other side or you need to turn back.
Yeah, to marry or not to marry.
Or to go ahead or not to go ahead.
So if the woman's biological clock is still ticking, there are, as you said, things that can be done. You know, we have had persons reach out to us who are in age gap relationships, who have said they have been married, the man is younger, the woman is older, and they have not yet had any children. Pray for them. And we do pray for those couples. We know that there are situations where people try to have children, and there may be some delay. We had a year of delay, but it might be something that can be addressed through modern medicine. Don't reject modern medicine. If it is something that can be addressed, address it.
And it could probably be a solution, actually, for our next point, the final point, where the older woman is desirous of having more children, but the younger man is just not mentally, or he doesn't feel like he's just ready at the moment to have a child.
We also actually face this in our relationship. So very early on, before we took the plunge to get married, Paul had concerns that he wasn't ready yet to take on the responsibility of a wife and a family. You know, he was still at the stage in his early 20s, and was still basically building his own career and, growing up, still growing up. So clearly, you would have made a decision to have children. What was it that changed your mind? Because you were initially thinking it's too much of a responsibility. I'm not ready yet. I remember us having discussions and you saying, okay, when we were dating, maybe in another 5 years, and in another 5 years, I'm thinking ahead and seeing my fertility window just closing.
And that's the thing. So what happened for me was that because I was not just apprehensive about having children, it was more about just even marriage. So yes, we're together, fine, things are okay, but she was more pressing on, we need to get things going, we need to get married. That's also in our story. And with the decision that I made to, we're going to get married, we're going to become one, the marriage package in a sense would have entailed a family. And we saw the reality, as you said before, that the window was just, we never had forever. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
We never had forever. So from night one, we were, I can't say that.
No, it's true. It's true.
So from now on, we were saying, you know what? This is the reality.
Yeah.
And we're going to be going at it. And thank God, I mean, we didn't expect this harvest.
Man, what a return you got on your investment.
200% each time.
Yeah, in essence, because you chose marriage.
Right.
You chose marriage over whatever pressing things you wanted to do with the rest of your life.
Right.
You chose marriage as being a priority, and the rest would have followed.
Marriage and family, right?
Yeah, and because you chose me, and we knew the circumstances. We knew that I was approaching that age when doctors and scientists say that a woman's fertility plummets, which not because your fertility plummets doesn't mean that you suddenly become infertile. Don't believe that. We just took the decision thereafter to progress quickly, to get things going quickly.
Faith without works is dead. So
Indeed.
we put in the work.
Indeed. And we had a lot of faith because we prayed. We prayed a lot.
God was at the center of it, believe
we
me.
did pray. We prayed. We also sought the help of specialists to ensure that there was nothing
wrong,
physiologically wrong
with the plumbing,
with either of our plumbing.
As a matter of fact, I started to think that something was wrong with my plumbing because again, she was proven that she could
deliver.
Right. She
had the results to show.
So, and there are options that we can take to, if we have a difficulty coming to a resolution between ourselves, you can seek help from a pastor.
Yes.
Or
mediation.
Right. Some counseling psychologist who can help you. But we get to that a little later on in the discussion. And our encouragement to you is to seek the Lord.
Yes,
right?
Because the Holy Spirit will answer to say yes or no. Because, sometimes when there is something that is not for us and the Lord has already told us no about it, we sometimes like to go our own way and push. Then there are other times when we might not be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and the Lord says go, and we have to go in faith.
Right.
And that was, I think, the situation for us. We felt strongly within ourselves that the Lord was saying go together, and we went together in faith. Not knowing if we were going to be able to have children or not. Any more children or not.
I think that the takeaway is to be obedient.
Be obedient.
To seek God, be obedient. Because look at it this way. We may be pursuing children for ourselves, but that may not be God's will for us.
Indeed.
We may push it to the limit and we may seek it and it may just not work out the way that we anticipated. and that just may not be what God's perfect will for your life is.
Yeah.
So in everything, seek Him about your marriage, seek Him about your childbearing, seek Him about whatever it is that you confront as a couple.
And also at the end of the day too, babe, let us not forget love, because sometimes we end up disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
We end up disappointed in marriage, but it doesn't mean that we cannot experience love. It doesn't mean that we cannot forgive, because as I said, you might lay blame on your partner if the inability to have children you think is their fault.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's very important, if you are already in a marriage, you are an age gap couple, and you have not been able to have children, that you stop, forgive, continue to seek the Lord, and to see if maybe if it's His will for you to not conceive, to not have children, and to continue to enjoy the love that you share.
Right, with the partner.
Yeah, because not being able to have children does not mean that life ends.
No.
Yeah.
And we're going to leave it right here for today.
And
we'll pick up tomorrow with some more topics.
Yes.
That can be potential showstoppers, like, you know, dropping it right here. So
those disapproving family members, you know, how do you get past that?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get past
her making more money than the man, but the man wants to rule and he let him put his foot down. But the woman she controls the dough.
Yeah, she's
and finally
the main money maker.
Being at different stages, so either at different ages, at different stages. One is growing, one is there.
Yeah.
One is accumulating, one have everything saved up.
One is physically, you know, full of stamina and energy, and the other one is kind of winding down and, you know, being able to relate to
that's
each
what tomorrow.
other.
Tomorrow, we'll come back on those points. Thanks for watching, and as usual, big up from me and my host. If you're new here, remember to subscribe and like our videos. Share with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye.